Doctor Doom, also known as Victor Von Doom, is without doubt one of, if not the, most memorable Marvel villains ever created. It is also without hesitation that I can say this character has irrevocably changed how villains are created, viewed, and acted in the modern age.
Hear me, nations of the world. My power is without limit. I can turn day to blackest night, summer to winter. But I am above all a reasonable man. Thus I have granted your leaders 1 week to surrender to the rule of doom, or suffer total annihilation.
From his creation in 1962 all the way until the late 90s, Doctor Doom was a name even the smallest of nerds knew of. At least, I assume. I wasn't exactly alive back then. When you used to ask someone with hardly any knowledge of comic media about what villains they knew, you were most likely to hear 3 names: the Joker, Magneto, or Doctor Doom. The words to focus on here are used to.
You were foolish to return to my ship. Haven't you learned your lessons, Spider-Man?
Start with 2 plus 2, and I'll give it another try.
For where you are going, there are no jokes.
Things changed for Marvel in the 1990s. As the comics began to go downwards in quality, the cartoons took a large surge upwards. However, the cartoons did not save Marvel, as the company ended up having to sell the rights of multiple groups and characters in order to make ends meet. In the end, the Fantastic Four ended up with 21st Century Fox, as well as the X-Men. The X-Men, however, were a much bigger deal than the Fantastic Four at this point, being fresh off their own hit animated show. Now, the X-Men had always been one of the biggest selling points for Marvel, solidly in the top 3 Marvel comics, as well as Spider-Man and, of course, the Fantastic Four. It was in the year 2000 that the first of those big 3 hit the big screen: X-Men, directed by some guy. While this certainly wasn't the first big hit comic book movie, not even the first big Marvel movie, it was still the first of those big 3 to make it into movie history. It did unbelievably well, leading to an absurd amount of sequels and prequels, each one differing greatly in quality, so of course it was assumed the other 2 from the big 3 would be equally successful. Then, to further prove how the big 3 would always be set for success in movies, no foreshadowing there, Spider-Man was released in 2002. Directed by Sam Raimi, this movie broke records, with a gross earning of around $100 million on its opening weekend alone. Thus began the sequels, with X2, X-Men United in 2003, and Spider-Man 2 in 2004. With the movie being released nearly every single year now, the next one, the next big hit, set to hit theaters in July of 2005, Fantastic Four.
This is pretty uninspired. The big bad Doctor Doom kidnapping me just to lure us here to your wretched little island.
Yes, I'm so sorry to involve you in the time-worn damsel in distress cliché, Mrs. Richards. I fear the only thing missing is the onrushing train. However, sometimes expediency outweighs originality. Now, with your permission.
And compared to the other movies coming out in that time period, it was the runt of the litter, the laughingstock of it all, compared to the much more successful X-Men and Spider-Man movies. While yes, it did earn enough praise to gain a sequel, it was then shelved pretty much immediately afterwards. One of the biggest reasons for it all, I personally believe, is due to how the movies handled Doctor Doom. So let me discuss who exactly Doctor Doom is, and why, or even how, he is now barely a candle compared to the inferno he used to be in public perception. As stated earlier, it was in 1962 that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby first showed Doctor Doom to the world in Fantastic Four issue number 5. Surprising some in that he was not the first villain everyone's favorite barbershop quartet ever faced. That honor went to Mole Man.
What, you're too good to talk to me? How does that bad guys that—
Miss Van Dyne, I am not some common criminal that can be distracted by your prattling. You are nothing to Doom, and your pathetic attempts to play mind games with me amount to exactly less than nothing. So please, stop embarrassing yourself.
Okay.
Dr. Doom, also known as Victor Von Doom, was born in the fictional country of Latveria inside of a Romani camp to his parents Cynthia and Werner Von Doom. His mother Cynthia was a witch who died early in Victor's life due to a mishap with a demon. This left Victor with his father Werner, who acted as a doctor of sorts in the camp. This then led to Werner being called by the Baron of Latveria to cure his wife of cancer. When Werner failed the impossible task, he was sentenced to death, but in the end he managed to escape with Victor, at least until exposure got to him in the forest. Victor survived all of this, and freshly orphaned, he went back to his camp and discovered his mother's old spellbooks. As he grew up into a budding genius, he found new ways to combine science and magic, already a prodigy with both. He was eventually scouted by the United States to study there, to which Victor agreed in order to gain access to state-of-the-art laboratories and much more sophisticated equipment. Thus, Victor Von Doom began studying at Empire State University, where he met one Reed Richards. Reed was one of the only people he bothered to respect, as his ego was already the size of a skyscraper, and Victor couldn't be bothered to look down. While at this university, Victor had a goal: to build a machine that would let him speak to his dead mother. Reed attempted to warn him about the machine being faulty, but Reed, with his tower-sized ego, refused to acknowledge him and activated it anyway. This of course ended with the machine exploding and Victor getting his face scarred, which he couldn't cope with whatsoever. What a shocker. After the accident caused by Victor's own pride, he was expelled, and so he went traveling around the world. Eventually, he landed in Tibet and found himself with a group of monks. It was here that his iconic suit and mask were made, with the mask being seared onto his face, fully disfiguring him as opposed to before, where he was only lightly disfigured.
Yes! The finishing touch! Now, the world will tremble when they look upon Dr. Doom!
Dr. Doom, wait! The mask is not...
Ah! Sweet Lord in heaven!
Oh, wait. The mask is upside down. Hold still, Doctor. Okay, once more with feeling.
Ah, you sons of...
It was now that he returned to Latveria, taking the throne for himself and becoming just yet another dictator in Latveria's long history. Despite it all, the people of Latveria loved him, probably because he was somehow just not quite as bad as the last dictator. And that is when the Fantastic Four finally appear, with Doom obsessively needing to prove himself superior to Reed, to which he almost never does, forced by writers to lose to the heroes over and over again. It wasn't just the Fantastic Four he faced either, with a history of being defeated by nearly every hero under the sun. So why is this loser man in metal one of the greatest villains Marvel has ever made? I'll tell you, after this. If you like this content and/or me, then please consider checking out my Patreon. I am a disabled content creator who spends loads of time crafting these videos for other people's enjoyment, so if you have any extra money to spend, then please throw it my way. That's not to say my Patreon doesn't give anything back, as depending on the tier, you can get my videos a day or even a week before their expected upload date, as well as Patreon-exclusive polls, exclusive commentary videos, and the scripts of all my videos. Anyway, back to the regularly scheduled dictator. Dr. Doom's biggest goal is simple: ruling over the world completely and ending human suffering. Simple, isn't it? As easy as that sounds, he is often thwarted in his goals to become the ultimate ruler of Earth, sometimes even more than that. Something I find fascinating, though, are the times Doom has taken over the world. The earliest example I can find is when he once kidnapped Purple Man. If you don't know who that is, it's probably for the best. Doom used Purple Man's mind control powers to take complete control over the planet and temporarily ended war and hunger, bringing equality across the globe. However, he felt dissatisfied with this, and having no challenge to overcome, and thus pretty much gave up when confronted by Wonder Man, one of the only people unaffected by the mind control. This could have been done in more ethical ways, but Doom's belief truly is that the ends outweigh the means. Even if the means are mass mind control, the end is still world peace. Personally, I think I would be fine living under a Doom dictatorship, less choices for my indecisive self to make.
Imagine, I now possess the power to end hunger, to abolish disease, to eliminate crime, to establish a perfectly content, perfectly ordered world, all under the benevolence of my iron will.
In 2015, a story called Secret Wars was remade, in a way. Dr. Doom was the main antagonist in this story, as he had stolen the power of what was basically a god and created his own world out of hundreds of other universes. This place was called Battleworld, and in it, Doom ruled as God Emperor Doom. Remember when I said his ego was the size of a skyscraper? It grew. He ruled this place for what was in his mind 8 monotonous years, at least until Reed Richards appeared, specifically his Reed Richards. Doom is defeated by Reed, as he always will be, and Reed, upon winning and having the powers of a god, decided to heal Doom's scars. Now this is the enemies to lovers I stick around for.
Our sources report that the Fantastic Four survived the liquidation of Island TR-5.
Reed Richards, alive.
Your plan to destroy them has failed, Master.
Failed. Dr. Doom does not fail.
Notable moments after Secret Wars include the time Doom was Iron Man, the time he joined the Guardians of the Galaxy, and the time he was the Sorcerer Supreme. If you liked this video, then please like it, and if you want to see more content from me, then please hit subscribe. Are you interested in hearing about the differences between Dr. Doom in the movies and the comics? Then comment below if you want to see that video come out anytime soon. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Goodbye for now.